Shut up and sit down.
You're listening to the Cheaters Never Pin podcast, a proud part of the Section 328 family. Follow us on Twitter at CheatersInVRPin. Now, live from ringside, it's Mr. Workrate and JC. Can you feel it, Tom?
No, I'm sorry, I can't.
Rude.
I'm just being truthful.
So rude. You made me just stop the music.
Yeah, that was abrupt.
Yeah, well, that's what you get for harshing my vibe, bro.
Shouldn't it be like a record scratch or something like that? This is me.
It's already in the track.
I bet you're wondering how we got here. How did we get here, JC?
Oh boy, we got here after one hell of a week. I think we're finally off the ultimate thrill ride, Tom.
Can weeks have 13 days? Because this one seemed to.
Jesus. Well, we'll get to that here on the Cheaters Never Pin podcast that you're listening to right now.
Welcome.
I'm JC, and here next to me at the commentary table is one of my best buddies, Mr. Workrate, Tom.
Yes, much like the German announce table, it's a solid, structurally sound table. So no jumping through this one.
No matter what, this table will stay strong. So yeah, so today, no 10 count yet again. We're just going to talk about the last week. And really, I'll spend 30 seconds telling you how great the indie stuff was. But, you know, it's WrestleMania week and WWE dominates the news cycle.
Yeah, that and the fact that I didn't watch it.
I watched a good chunk of it, and there's a lot of good stuff, but it's one of those things, you know, in the grand scheme, it doesn't really matter.
We'll look back and laugh.
Yeah.
3 years from now, we'll be like, wow, I can't believe those guys are working there, and now they're Intercontinental Champions or something.
Whoa, look, they were the Andre Battle Royal. Anyway, yeah, so welcome to the podcast. We're just going to talk about WrestleMania, give our thoughts. We've got thoughts from a few of you we'll throw in, which are greatly appreciated. And Tom, if the people ever want to give us their thoughts on anything going on in wrestling, where can they send them to so we can hear from them?
Well, Twitter's the easiest place, I think, to get in contact with all of us. If you go to the Twitter account at CheatersNVRPin, you can always send us anything there for questions or comments or just anything randomly that you would do on Twitter, memes, GIFs, that type of thing. I can be found on Twitter at Mr. Workrate, MR Workrate, and yeah, that's the easiest way to get in contact with at least me or the show. I know you can be contacted at JCBOBBITT.
Damn straight.
You have to do it quickly.
Right.
If you spell it out too slowly, people lose track and they add in extra T's and B's and that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get to us there. Facebook.com/CheatersNeverPin. You can always leave your thoughts on our wall. Maybe you'll slide up in our top 6. Maybe I don't know how Facebook works.
There's poking involved, or at least there used to be.
Is there still poking?
I
don't think
maybe.
There is. I don't know. It tells you how much time I spent on Facebook in the year 2017.
But maybe you spend a lot of time on Facebook, and for that we appreciate it if you'd go over to our Facebook page.
But if you want to poke us some other way, go to iTunes and click that little rating button and give us 5 stars.
I don't think that's how poking works.
That's how we're using it now. BR Meltzer, give us 5 stars.
Because you can't give us 6. It won't let you.
I'll even convince you this was recorded in the Tokyo Dome. Okay.
I have no response to that.
I was not even a chuckle. Okay.
I had 5 different responses and none of them sounded right, and I just dead air.
Yep. So, and while you're rating and reviewing us there on the iTunes, make sure to subscribe. And you can do all of those things on all of our great platform partners: iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, YouTube, and our wonderful, fabulous host, Spreaker.
I still don't have that list. I'm going to get it tattooed, I think, on my ankle. So just in case. But that's when we'll shift to some kind of provider or something will become obsolete, and then we'll just cross it out.
Well, I was going to say, if you donate $1,000 to the show on patreon.com/cheatersneverpin, or that doesn't exist. Let's try that again. Patreon.com/section328, our network Patreon, and put $1,000 in there. Tom will get a tattoo of that list.
Subject to approval.
It's approved. I just approved it. We're good.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Yeah,
sure. Why not?
So if you like the show, go throw us a nickel, $1 a month on patreon.com/section328. I would appreciate that. Helps us pay the bills.
Yeah, $1,000 a month, and I end up looking like Baron Corbin, I guess. I don't know.
Are you going to get a giant heart and a lantern tattoo on your chest with bluebirds? Yes,
sure.
That's how well I've studied that tattoo. All right, we'll move on quickly. WrestleMania week has come to an end.
The ultimate thrill ride.
The ultimate thrill ride has pulled back into the station. Tom, give me your overall impressions of the week, the entire, I guess, from Hall of Fame through the end of Talking Smack last night. What did you think of the biggest week in professional wrestling?
I think it was, I mean, not to be cliche, but the ultimate thrill ride kind of was appropriate there because it had its ups and downs. I really liked the Hall of Fame this year, I guess, because it had more current people and halfway decent talkers as well. I mean, you had people like Diamond Dallas Page. I mean, between him and Cornette, I could have listened to the two of them talk for 2 hours alone. But you had an NXT takeover show, which was fine. Not really that overwhelming. It was kind of just there for the most part. The WrestleMania show itself, I think, was a strong show. One of the best ever, probably not necessarily, but a lot better than last year. I think top to bottom, a pretty strong card. Again, not huge stories necessarily being wrapped up or anything like that, but I mean, it was a fun card to watch, I think, for the most part. So, I mean, I can't really complain there. And then you had Raw and SmackDown, which, I mean, everybody watching Raw and SmackDown post WrestleMania is looking for those debuts, and we had several good, not only debuts, but reintroductions of people coming back from injury, between Balor and Nakamura and Ty Dillinger. I mean, it was a fun week. It's, I mean, I don't want to necessarily be down on the NXT card as much, but I mean, that was, I mean, sadly enough, probably the low point for me for the whole weekend. But I mean, I don't think there really was too much of a low point. I think it was a really good weekend altogether.
Yeah, that's very much my thoughts. Everything I watched, I enjoyed. There wasn't one thing that I felt like I was just watching because I felt like I needed to watch it. The Hall of Fame, probably, at least for me, the most enjoyable one in the network era since you've been able to watch it beginning to end live. This is my favorite one. All this, you touched on Cornette, Rock and Roll Express, DDP. I thought Beth Phoenix was great, especially because she brought out Tony Chimmel, which is wonderful. I enjoyed Bischoff's speech as well.
Yeah.
That whole ceremony, I love watching that every year. It's kind of a great nostalgia yay, let's celebrate professional wrestling moment, and I kind of love that every year. My thoughts on NXT are very similar to yours in that the show was fine. The wrestling was fine. It's just NXT is at a point right now, and I think we talked about this last week, where they are very much in a rebuilding stage. And I think given the challenges they have with the way they've had to tape lately and with the talent that's there and not being able to build storylines, like Hunter has admittedly said, you know, they want to, that they struggled in that. But with that being said, it was still a very good show. It did not steal the weekend like it did last year. But it is what it is, and it's okay. Mania was way better than last year. It was not quite WrestleMania 17 or WrestleMania 30 level of greatness. But the card was solid. There's only one match that I have significant issues with on the entire card. And then Raw and SmackDown, well, at least Raw, but other than the crowds, were fabulous. And then all the indie stuff I watched, from Keith Lee and Ricochet at Evolve 80 to the ridiculous Marty Jannetty Joey Janela match at Joey Janela's Spring Break, to everything that happened at Ring of Honor. It was stellar. I enjoyed every last minute of this entire last week. I'm real glad I don't have to watch any wrestling today. Real glad I got a day to breathe. But I'm really ready for next year. I'm like, all right, bring on New Orleans. Let's do it again.
Yeah, and I mean, what WWE's done with the WrestleMania weekend or the Access weekend or whatever you want to call it, I mean, it's genius for them, because people were already coming in, making flights and that type of thing to make this like almost like a vacation destination, that type of thing. And to be able to offer to people this package of WrestleMania and the NXT like super card and the Hall of Fame and all these like fan access opportunities where you can get autographs and just activities, see like museum type stuff. And I mean, it makes it an experience where you turn around and you actually do like, there are plenty of people that are like using this as an excuse to kind of take a vacation, to be able to go and drop their money. Instead of going to Disney, they go to WrestleMania, and it's become a full rounded experience that you've got cities that are competing for this, because it is a legitimate draw to these cities now. It's boosting tourism. It's bringing money to local businesses and the surrounding area, and I mean, it's become a destination now, and it's really interesting to see how what was at one time just a pay-per-view show, just like all the other ones, turns into this giant of practically week-long event. I mean, if you bought tickets, in Orlando and you got the package, you got you had somewhere to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. You had 5 major shows to go to. And I mean, that's a whole bunch of activity there.
It's turned into wrestling fans' spring break.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have every intention of getting my ass to New Orleans next year. And trying to watch not sleep and see everything. So,
maybe we'll get huge and get press passes.
Oh, I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch any of it from press box. I want to be on the floor. I want to be with the people. That's what we're here for, Tom. We're here for the people.
I'm fine with press box. Just saying, Vince. If you're listening, and we know you are.
Oh yeah.
Press box is fine for me.
Yeah, I'll take it too. I wouldn't complain. All right, so let's get started here. We'll really just talk about Mania, because that's the biggest thing, and then we'll talk about Raw and SmackDown a little bit. We gave our thoughts on TakeOver. No belts changed hands, and it was fine. So yay TakeOver. Yay.
Asuka's a heel now.
Yep, a heel who takes lots of pictures by the pool and selfies and stuff. I don't know what the hell. I'm still mystified by that package, but that's just me.
Well, let's see how it develops.
Yeah. All right. So going down the Mania card, we'll try to take a couple minutes, maybe less, on each of these first 10 matches.
Yeah, because we don't want to be here until, and you guys don't want to listen to 4 hours of this, do you? No.
Oh, we're going over an hour tonight, like kids. Just
heads
up, which you should already know as you've downloaded this and looked at the timestamp. All right, so pre-show, Neville retains the WWE Cruiserweight Championship against Austin Aries in broad open daylight at the Citrus Bowl. 15-minute, 40-second match. It was fine.
It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It was, I mean, there is no such thing as a dark match anymore. At least not for shows like this. I mean, especially for a match that went on at 5:30 in the afternoon before the 7 o'clock start time of the show that ended at midnight. So, I mean, and there were more people in the stand. I mean, I made the crack last year about them wrestling to a half-empty arena. There seemed to be more people in there this time. I mean, you're still not going to be full because, again, it's 5:30 or something like that. And, again, bell time isn't until 7. So people are still trying to get through security, that type of thing. But, I mean, it seemed like it was better than last year.
I think they had a lot less issues with the internet crashing and getting people wristbanded onto the floor and into the stadium this year.
Yeah, I knew they had a lot of issues last year with actually getting people in. So people were in, I guess, this time. But, yeah, I mean, it was a good solid match. It was a good pick for an opener because, again, these are two guys that, I mean, they worked really well. And I would like to see more matches from them. And they've left it open. 205. I mean, Austin Aries is still the number one contender, so that's still going to move along. But I mean, it was a really strong match. Outside of the finish where Austin kind of messed himself up a little bit, but I mean, it was exactly what it needed to be, and yeah, no issues with it at all. And God, I do love heel Neville so much.
Oh, right, so good. And see, I think that finish was perfect. Neville going for that damaged orbital bone of Aries and clawing at it, and then Aries getting his face on the rope and Neville kicking it to further damage his face. I loved it. And it was a solid, it got the crowd. These guys are over with the crowd, especially, the really hardcore people that are like us that are watching everything. It was just a good match. And that's how you want to start the day. With good wrestling.
I mean, and if you're sitting in your seats at 5 o'clock, you're probably the hardcore fan that respects the 205 and the Cruiserweight division. So that was for you guys.
Well, unlike the ones at Raw, but we'll get to that. Oh, no, you know what? We can talk about it here because that was on Raw and that was a Cruiserweight match. If you go to Monday Night Raw the day after Mania and knock around a beach ball and start chanting Beach Ball Mania and shit, go fuck yourself. Like, respect the wrestler. And then these are, I think I made this point on Twitter or in our text thread or something. These are the same fans that are going to go to Reddit and go to the any message board online and bitch that, I don't understand why Vince can't get the cruiserweights over. Nobody wants to pay attention. Nah, 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 nah. Well, how about you pay attention for 30 seconds and watch the damn match? Stop trying to get yourselves over.
I had no idea what the hell was going on, and you can see the crowd like completely directed off to the right hand side, like through the match, and I was trying to figure out if there was a fight or, somebody made them setting up something for something later on. Like a wrestler comes to ringside, maybe like security starts moving people out of the way. It draws attention. No, it's a beach ball.
It was those damn alternative fans playing with a beach ball.
You're so cool.
I know. All right. Second up, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Mojo Rawley wins with help from Rob Gronkowski. Which
we all called that one.
As soon as I saw Gronk, as soon as they showed him sitting there, I should have known. I should have known what was going to happen. I'm supposed to be smarter than that. But God damn it if I didn't think, no, Braun's really got this. Well, Big Show and Braun, who are the only two who got entrances, by the way, get thrown out first and second, basically. I think actually Epico or Primo was first. But though Big Show and Strowman go out early, then Mojo and Jinder Mahal are the last two left. I mean, good for Mojo, yay. I mean, they're clearly just exploiting him so they can get Gronk on the show for that SportsCenter moment, because he ain't going nowhere, especially after that promo he cut on SmackDown, which is maybe the worst thing since I'm going to go do some lucha things, woo. Maybe it's worse than that. I don't know. It was bad.
It was uncomfortable.
So bad. Which is, in case you missed the reference at the beginning of the show when I said, can you feel it, Tom? Mojo Rawley looks Dasha Fuentes, granted Dasha's a robot, but he looks Dasha Fuentes square in the face backstage and goes, can you feel it, Dasha? She goes, no.
I can't.
It was awful. And I don't know if it was the writing or him or both. It was bad. But Mojo won the armbar. It's the Jobber Battle Royal. It doesn't really matter.
And I will state, having listened to last week's show again recently, that I did kind of call it.
You did.
I mean, I said Sammy should win, and I thought Sammy would win, but I said if you want to go with the dark horse, go with Mojo, because, well, why not?
Yep. Well, because he's friends with Gronk, and it gets him on SportsCenter.
Yep. And that's
literally
what it was.
That's the whole reason that happened, folks. Do not expect anything out of Mojo Rawley. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do something with it, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to.
I want to hear how long Mojo gets referred to as the 4th annual Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner, like they did with Corbin. Because Corbin got introduced this week continued to be introduced as, I don't think it was in his actual, verbal introduction, but in his little SmackDown side fun facts type thing, still said 3rd annual Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner. Okay, we're gonna.
Well, you're not gonna have to worry about hearing it because he's still not going to be on TV.
Well, he'll be on the main event and.
Yeah, I don't watch main event. Actually, main event they tape before Raw, so it doesn't even matter. All right, moving on. The final pre-show match. Dean Ambrose versus Baron Corbin in a pretty meh affair. Dean Ambrose retains. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was fine for what it was, but again, it was disappointing because you wanted to see the Falls Count Anywhere match, the street fight match, some kind of stipulation, and the match ended up, when you realized it was going on the pre-show, because they were kind of shuffling things around, when you realized it was actually going to be on the pre-show, you're like, yeah, this isn't going to have any stipulations. The momentum still wasn't there. I mean, it wasn't like a forklift match or anything like that.
They were saving the stip for SmackDown Live. That's why they had the street fight. And then apparently Corbin won at SmackDown Live. I don't know. I mean, this feud is obviously still going and is extended, but why even?
And then Corbin won, but it wasn't for the title, but some people thought it was for the title. I don't know. Vince Russo's
I don't know what the hell is going on with that, but I don't care.
Russo sees the Russo signal.
I don't care, and I mean that in the worst way possible because they've given me no reason to care about this feud.
The smart thing would have been to just turn around, give Corbin the belt, preferably in the match that they had on Tuesday, and just move on. Yep. Corbin can go against somebody else and put Ambrose against, I don't know, maybe put him on Raw. I don't know. We got the pending shakeup coming, so maybe something will happen with that. But yeah, he's spinning tires, and I don't know. People like him.
You
but
put the belt on Corbin, and then you have Nakamura feud for that title in his first feud.
Yeah, I mean,
a Nakamura Corbin match would be fun. It would be good. That's a good way for him to start on the main roster.
I don't know.
Spoiler alert: Shinsuke got called up on Tuesday.
I don't know. If Corbin takes the belt, I want him to hold on to it for a little while. So put him in some kind of lesser program with, I don't know, Apollo Crews or something like that. Have him win that, kind of dominate that to establish him as a champion instead of having him be like a 2-match champion. If you're gonna put the belt on somebody, at least have some length to it. Yeah. I mean, it's gotten. You can't have these like 2-week, title reigns. It then becomes Nitro, and it's one of the things that one of numerous things that killed Nitro. But I mean that was one of the things. Like there was no significance to title changes. So
yeah, and it's a mid-card title in WWE in the mid 20 in the mid 20-aughts, so it doesn't mean shit. So
But I mean, that's
the way the writers look at it. So that's the way Vince looks at it. So,
and if it's going to be a mid-card title, that's fine. Put it on a mid-carder. I mean, Dean's supposed to be a main guy. Take it off of Dean somehow and put it on a mid-carder.
Yep.
Or a high mid-carder. I mean, like a Corbin, like somebody like that. So you can have your main event people feud amongst themselves, and then you have a reason to take these second-level guys, the Zigglers and the Cruzes, and I don't know, have Kalisto attempt to do. I don't even know what Kalisto's doing, but you have something for those second. Yeah, exactly. You have something for those second-level guys. But right now, the way SmackDown is set, you have arguably the two top guys main event type people holding both the belts, and your mid-card people are there to put them over.
Mm-hmm. And then again, who knows? Maybe he's holding this belt and staying in place with it because they have some grand plan for after the Superstar shakeup on Monday.
Yeah.
Who knows? That's the other thing here. Anything we predict tonight about what is happening after Raw, after Mania, after SmackDown could all completely change on Monday. Because Monday is essentially trade deadline day in WWE, and people are going to move between shows.
Out the window. Everything is out the window.
So, the major stuff's, I think, safe. But something like this, who the hell knows? We certainly don't. I'm pretty sure Vince won't know until 11:15 on Monday.
Yep.
So, at PM. All right, main card starts. And then we get Tinashe singing America the Beautiful and a flyover. And there's some pyro. And then we get AJ Styles and Shane McMahon.
Opening.
Which I think we were all shocked by. When we saw that was the first match. We were all like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, the order of this card just... Yeah, it was a total surprise, I think, left and right, because then, as they announced, the next match, and especially, and we'll eventually get to the SmackDown women's match, it was just trying to figure out where the hell that was going, and watching stuff drop down the card, watching stuff rise the card, it was, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this, and looking back at the order and knowing the way they booked it and what was going on, I think they ordered it as perfectly as they could have. I don't know anything I would have moved.
Yeah, in hindsight, it looks fine now. But yeah. I mean,
at the time, everybody, all 6 or 7 of us watching this at the Section 328 Worldwide headquarters were like, "Huh? What's happening? Okay. Oh, that's right. There's 8 more hours of this left."
Because we watched the 2 warm-up matches, then we watched Dean Ambrose on the pre-show, and we're like, oh wow, Dean's on the pre-show. I mean, belt's being defended on the pre-show, and
Two
then
of them.
Shane McMahon's in the opener. It's like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. So AJ and Shane have their straight wrestling match, which I know I went on a rant about last week. But for 20 minutes and 35 seconds, AJ Styles and Shane McMahon had a match that defies explanation in how good it was. For what it could have been and what the expectations of that match were, it far exceeded them. It may be, let me look at the card, it's probably my third favorite. Yep, absolutely. Not third or fourth favorite match on this card. It's not a 4-star, 4.5-star AJ Styles classic, but it's a 3.25, 3.5-star match. Which, when you were trying to describe, yep, that's right, he had a straight wrestling match against Shane McMahon. That's quite the achievement. Shane looked great. He obviously took it seriously, obviously prepared very well. AJ slowed down enough and did everything that was required of him to carry that match and make it work. I enjoyed the hell out of this.
Yeah, I mean, AJ's carried worse wrestlers. And like you said, I mean, Shane actually turned around, and it seems like he took this seriously. He trained, and I mean, he did some transitions and was trying to show off his MMA expertise or something like that early on, which we kind of all chortled at. But I mean, that was the angle that they were going in. And I mean, going into the match, it was pretty much, we were looking at two things. One, how much is AJ going to carry him? And two, what the hell is Shane going to throw himself off of? Because when we started to look at how the stage and everything like that was set up, we're like, yeah, there's nothing for him to jump off of. So trying to figure out how that was going to work. But no, I mean, AJ carried him for the most part. But I mean, yeah, looking back and seeing that was actually a 20-minute match, it's like, my God, that actually, yeah, that was a 20-minute match. Yeah. And
Shane didn't do anything crazy. He didn't need to do anything crazy. It was great. And I enjoyed the hell out of this match.
And I think one of the things, and I had to like correct somebody on Twitter because I wanted to say something, because people got pissed off when Shane kicked out of the Styles Clash. And I pointed out and I go, no, he didn't. AJ was starting to put on the Styles Clash, and he was doing it quick, and he only got one leg around and did not get the full the second leg around to do a full Styles Clash. He did the first one and then dropped it and got the 2 9/10. And I think then you can point back and go, no, he didn't kick out of the Styles Clash. That wasn't a full Styles Clash, whatever you want to say, but it's a way of protecting the move, because a heel announcer, if Bobby the Brain Heenan had been doing the commentary for this match, he would have pointed that out. Like, no, he didn't get it on there right. That wasn't a full. Shane didn't kick out of that. So, yeah, I mean, AJ protected himself well enough. I mean, and there was no real part in there that AJ looked bad necessarily, like where he's trying to put Shane over and Shane's putting himself over. And that's something that I've brought up before, is the fact that Shane's not, as much criticism as he might get for matches or whatever, Shane, for the most part, is not trying to put himself over. Yeah, he's doing spots for that type of thing, but he's doing it to make he's not doing it to take away from others. If he's doing anything, he's trying to make the boys look good. And I think that's always been kind of like part of my feeling seeing him, is that he wants to be he wants to be one of the boys, and he wants to be back in that locker room, and he wants to travel with the guys and that type of thing. And that's what he wants. he doesn't want to steal the show from somebody. He doesn't want to be seen as the one who shows up and steals all the spots and then leaves for 9 months or something like that. He wants what's best for everybody. And yeah, I mean, he had a good match. AJ pinned Shane clean, and that was it.
Yep. And then Tuesday night on SmackDown, Shane comes out to address the Superstar shake-up, shake-down, shake-around, whatever the hell it is.
Shake and bake.
There you go. AJ interrupts him and says, you know what? You earned my respect. They shake hands and part, and I think that's perfect.
Like the Southern gentleman that he is.
Real respect, real. And I know there was a lot of vitriol towards, like, why would he do that? But I think it was fine. I have no problem with it. So, all right. Next match on the card, the grudge match. Kevin Owens is your new WWE United States champion as he defeated Chris Jericho in a 16-minute match that featured the spot of the night.
And it was not the the ring apron powerbomb. It was not the walls of Jericho. It was one fingertip.
It was Jericho. Was it after a code breaker? I don't remember. But Owens is down. Jericho goes for the pin. They're right near the ropes. 1, 2, and Owens gets one finger on the bottom of the rope, like the very tip of his finger, in the ultimate callback to the painting from the Festival of Friendship.
And I've been watching wrestling for way too long now.
I've never seen it.
I don't know how this hasn't been done before, how this never crossed someone's mind. It was just the greatest. That
probably got one of the two biggest pops in the room where we were.
Yeah.
The entire night. It was so funny. No, they have a great match. Owens comes out, does, typical Kevin Owens entrance. Chris Jericho comes out wearing a cross between a leather and a Christmas tree with a giant inflatable list of Jericho on the stage, which better be at every access until the end of time.
Or you can sign it yourself, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, see, that's a cool idea. Look at that. Yeah, it was everything you'd expect from an Owens Jericho match. It was just a good match.
Again,
probably 3.5 stars again. I mean, it was nothing crazy, nothing over the top. Good, solid wrestling. Great story told during the match. Great build up to this match. And the right guy won. So it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I hope Owens does a decent amount with the U.S. title. He's the type of person that should be. I mean, he should do well with it. I hope that he kind of plays off the Francophile aspect of it and just goes as Canadian as possible with the U.S. title. But again, it still amazes me to watch Chris Jericho wrestle. And again, I kind of bite my bottom lip when he took that ring apron powerbomb, because god damn, that looks like it hurts. And
it's the hardest part of the ring, Tom.
It is. But I mean, for a guy in his late 40s, I mean, he is doing all the spots that he was doing 10, 15, 20 years ago and barely missing a step. And I don't know if it's part of that DDP yoga that I'm pretty sure he's doing, but
but it was good.
Yeah.
And Jericho, it has been confirmed on WWE.com. Jericho gets his contractual rematch at Payback at the end of the month.
He gets his payback.
Oh.
At Payback.
Oh. I'm so glad that they've moved that pay-per-view to after Mania now. Makes so much more sense there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, that was fun. I don't really have much to say about it. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about this feud before, and I mean it's just pretty much come to. Well, I doubt that it's coming to it's only going to come to the end, I guess, after Payback. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about it in depth already. I mean, it's been a great story, and I mean, Mania didn't end it completely, but it's getting to that point, and I mean, like you said, the right guy won. So
absolutely. Next matchup, the Fatal 4-Way Elimination match for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. Somehow, Bayley retained against Charlotte, Sasha, and Nia.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's a thing. Nia goes out first when all three women gang up on her.
Well booked. That's
Perfect.
The way you do that.
Yep. She beats everyone down. Looks like the absolute monster she should. Until they all team up and take her out together. One of the best moments of that is after she gets eliminated, Charlotte stands up and tries to get a high five from Sasha and Bayley. They're like, no. So she just powders out of the ring and goes, all right, fine, you two fight then.
Yeah.
The match was fine. Again, I have nothing wrestling wise to complain about or make note of. It was good. It's another 3-star match. And again, knowing now that there's a superstar shake and bake on Monday, and knowing the way they treated Sasha on Monday, or I'm sorry, not Sasha, Charlotte, with having her get beaten down and take the pin, I think she may be headed to SmackDown. Sasha has been calling on Twitter to go to SmackDown. I have no idea what the hell's happening here then. Emma's
all
back.
All the women go to SmackDown.
Yeah. Emma came back in a 6-woman tag on Monday as well.
And it was great.
Yeah. Literally, music hits, she comes storming out of Gorilla, goes up and does her entire little entrance pose thing on the top of the announce table while Byron Saxton just stares.
And then she screams at Byron Saxton.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But yeah. Any comments on the match? I don't have anything to say about it. I mean, they booked Nia well. The wrestling was great. Charlotte had that great corkscrew moonsault. That's probably the biggest spot I remember from the match.
Yeah. It's just frustrating looking in hindsight of how they booked this and how it could have been booked, in that, again, going back, 2 months ago or whatever, when Bayley first won the title, had they taken it, or had she given it up, used her heart or whatever, and given up that title and given it back to Charlotte and built back to this match and have Bayley have her WrestleMania moment winning the title here, would have made this match 100 times more worthwhile than it ended up being. I mean, we went into the match and my wife watched the match and she looked at Bayley the whole time and she's like, why does she look like she either doesn't want to be here or looks scared the entire time? It was just that look on her face the entire time. It wasn't the determination. It wasn't the I don't know if I can do it. It was just this kind of look on her face, and it just.
Well, they even booked the entrances to that, because Bayley comes out first, which I hate champions coming out first, but they book her to come out first and stand there and look more and more panicked as all of the other women come out.
And it sucks because Bayley's character has been before. I mean, Bayley's not Mikey Whipwreck, okay? Mikey Whipwreck was booked to be this complete jobber that, couldn't hit 2 moves, and they stuck the title on him, and he pretty much cried when he, had the opportunity to like realize that he had defended against like the Sandman and stuff. So Bailey's not Mikey Whipwreck. Bailey's an underdog. So she's supposed to go into these things, and they did this in NXT fine. They can't seem to figure out how to do it on the Raw level. She's not supposed to be smart enough to realize that she can't win. Mm-hmm. So she's supposed to go into these things like she's not supposed to look at three people across from her and go, oh no, what am I going to do? She's supposed to look at them like, I can beat all of them. And we're supposed to look and go, you dumbass, no you can't. And then be surprised when she does. But no, it was almost heel-like to the point where she's like in the match and she's like, she looks like she feels like she's going to lose. And if she has that reaction, that's how we're going to react and be like, well, I kind of hope you do now.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. I don't have anything to add to that.
hopefully the shake-up will kind of like take care of this and kind of shake it out. And I don't know, but yeah.
It should. Moving the women around. We've seen, every humanly possible combination of these women on Raw and on SmackDown. So it's time to freshen those up, and it should help everybody's characters being against other characters. It'll be great. I got faith. All right. Then we get what became the fatal 4-way tag team ladder match for the Raw Tag Team Championship.
I am so pissed I did not see this coming.
Right?
Because we should have. Why the hell would ladders be in this match?
I know. Well, because Gallows and Anderson found them backstage.
Well, yes.
Which, given typical WWE booking, makes a hell of a lot of sense. We got swerved, bro.
But I guess that's what it is. Just like they threw a stipulation in there and we just kind of shrugged and went, okay. All right. Where it should have raised a red flag and go, oh, there's a WrestleMania tag match with ladders?
Well, and here's the thing, too. Usually it's the Intercontinental car crash ladder match, and that didn't happen. And then, so they make this ladder match. It's like, all right, cool. They put the ladder match back on the show. But no, that's not at all why they did it. The New Day comes out and says, hold on a second, playa. Which they should have, given Teddy Long being involved, now that I think about it.
Holla, holla, holla.
Holla. We've just been informed this is no longer a triple threat. This is now a fatal 4-way match. And who could the other team be? And they take a couple steps forward, and Kofi's taking off his hat. And then the Hardy Boys music hits. I jumped up out of my seat. I headbanged a little bit and immediately was like, wow, I look like an idiot, and sat back down. And none of you called me out for it. Thank you. Because
we were marking out on our own.
Marked real hard. But out come the Hardy Boys, Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy. To the commentary of Michael Cole going, things are about to be broken. And I'm like, oh shit. And the best part, and this has happened on Monday too, is watching Matt snap back and forth between Matt Hardy and broken Matt Hardy. He's consistently for 2 nights in a row come out at entrances and done the Hardy Boys kind of headbanging Team Extreme thing, and then he does the thing where he puts his arms out and gets the big goofy smile like yes, and then he'll go back to the Hardy Boys thing for a minute, and then as he's walking down the ramp, he'll turn to the fans like yes. I'm
not sure what I'm supposed to do legally.
It's amazing. So they come in, and after all of the crazy spots, including Enzo not dying as much as I thought he would, which I'm grateful for, because I think he only had one big bump. But after a giant swanton off what I think was a 74-foot ladder from Jeff,
I'm pretty sure it was,
onto Cesaro and Sheamus outside, Matt grabbed the ladder they took the titles. So the Hardy Boys have completed their expedition of gold and have captured the WWE Raw Tag Team Champions. Chips. Jesus. Words.
Took the champions too. Locked them in a cage.
Yeah. But, yeah. I mean, that's the highlight of the show. By the way. Doesn't get much better than that from here on out. I'm just going to warn you.
That was your cheap pop, and I mean, as a match itself, it was great. I mean,
the match was really good too.
See, my thing is too, I hate ladder matches because, well, I like wrestlers living, and it's so, I mean, just spots on ladders are just dangerous as hell, and the Hardys are not smart enough to, like, not do these things. So,
well, they proved that less than 24 hours before this when they faced the Young Bucks at Supercard of Honor in a ladder match for the Ring of Honor tag team titles. That's right. The Hardys had 2 ladder matches in less than 24 hours.
And the Hardys aren't 24 anymore.
No. It was a good match. It was probably the best one so far on the card when you get to this point.
The funny thing about the match too, and I'll say this, is that we've in the past couple of weeks building up to this, we've kind of stressed that WrestleMania wasn't for us. WrestleMania is for the mainstream fans, people that don't watch it regularly or maybe even haven't seen it, in a couple of years, that type of thing, and go to a party and whatever. So my wife's watching, and my wife was a big, not a huge wrestling fan, but a quality wrestling fan back in the Attitude Era. And she sees the Hardys come out, and she's like, oh, that's cool. And she's like, what the hell is wrong with Matt Hardy? Like, what's up with his hair? Why doesn't he do something with it? And I'm left to explain the whole concept of broken Matt Hardy, and I mean, and the thing is, Jeff looks normal next to him. Jeff looks like
he's normal
Jeff
Team
Hardy.
Extreme Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, and Matt kind of looks like Team Extreme Matt Hardy, but with like the kind of crazy afro and the white blonde streak in there. And it's like, she's like, yeah, I don't get it. And it's hard to explain, especially if the more you watch them now, I mean, with the limited amount that they can do. I mean, if you watched the post Raw, I forget what, Raw Talk or whatever it is, afterwards they have the Hardys on. I'm like, oh, they're going to do like an interview or whatever. And Matt talks like Matt Hardy, just normal Matt Hardy, like, oh, it's pretty cool to be here. Mm-hmm. They start talking about ring posts and LEDs, and wow, things are kind of different here now. This is what it's like on a budget. Cool.
Right. Here's why they brought them back, and I just pulled this up so I'd have the most recent numbers. So I'm looking at WWE's YouTube page, and I'm looking at all the videos from Mania. A lot of them are a few 100,000 views. The Undertaker's entrance is 1.9 million. Goldberg and Brock Lesnar's 1.6. Let's see. John Cena proposing 4.7. Matt and Jeff Hardy make their return. 9.8 million views.
Yep.
People like the Hardy Boys because, they're still talent. To me, they're not just the nostalgia act. They're still very talented. They're still very over. They're still very hot right now. I'm thrilled for them to be back. I can't wait to see where it goes. I hope this doesn't turn into the situation we had with the Dudley Boys a couple years ago, where it just kind of fizzles after a couple of months. But yeah.
And see, I don't think so. I think, I mean, the Dudleys were meant to be a nostalgia act. They were meant to be brought in, and again, they were kind of limited. They don't sell the merchandise that they were. They were a throwback. The Dudleys coming back were similar to like almost how when they brought back Road Dogg and Billy Gunn and decided to have a New Age Outlaw reunion a couple of years ago. It was just kind of a thing like, oh, remember them? Yeah, we'll kind of just throw this together and see what happens. The Hardys still have juice in them, and there was a time not too long ago where Jeff Hardy was selling merch like, top 3 in the company pretty much. And he's going to go back to that. Potentially.
Yep.
I can't predict what 16-year-olds will actually do, but
the Hardys were the hottest act in wrestling in 2016. And I think this just will continue that on an even more global stage.
Yeah, if anything, it's going to get people watching on a regular basis just to see how things work out, whether we're going to see some kind of like Hardy's compound and anything of that kind of broken manner, like further on down the line, or if it's just going to be the Hardy Boys 15 years later.
There's a lot of legal stuff they need to work out with that owl. We'll see.
And supposedly Vince is kind of backing away from it and letting the Hardys take care of it on their own. And I understand that. I don't know if it's like, that they're going to have like maybe some kind of WWE lawyers to kind of speak to them off to the side and kind of give maybe some advice or something along those lines. But
I think it sets a really dangerous precedent in the industry if WWE gets involved in a situation like this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be completely off the record for anything like that. Like, we'll kind of take a look at it, but
they're back.
Give you an idea.
They're your tag team champions, and it's awesome. All right, next up, the moment we were anticipating the most as a group, I think, the mixed tag team match.
I couldn't wait to see Al Roker, and I saw him.
So Nikki Bella and John Cena defeat the Maurice and Miz in 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Maybe the shortest John Cena WrestleMania match of all time.
It seemed shorter than that, too.
It did. Miz and Maurice come out first. Al Roker introduces them and then proceeds to call the Miz, "You're a wily little minx." That was the weirdest moment of the night.
To which Miz proceeds to look at Al Roker with the biggest what the fuck look ever.
Yeah. Then Nikki Bella and John Cena come out. Cena comes out, takes his towel out, looks dead at the camera and goes, "Oh, this is going to be a long run." Which I don't know if that's just foreshadowing a decade too late or if he was talking about the ramp. But either way. They proceed to gently jog down the ramp, which by the ramp, and this is without gimmick, was 80 yards long.
To which John starts running down and then catches up to Nikki and then proceeds to tell Nikki that she needs to run. And every teenage boy said, "Yes, Nikki,
yes,
run."
So they had a match that was pretty terrible. It was never going to be great, and the match served its purpose. Whatever. The match doesn't even matter here. No one will ever remember this match. All they will remember is at the end, John Cena gets a mic and tells Nikki, "I asked you a question when you were high as crap on anesthetic before your neck surgery. And said, would you be willing to get married? Do you remember your answer?" But I'm gonna ask you again now. Nicole, something, will you marry me? She says yes. The crowd didn't shit on it as much as I thought they were going to. They tried it first, and then I think they realized there was a genuine human moment happening and they should stop. But yeah, then they got engaged. So yay to the happy couple. It's about goddamn time. It makes me really excited for the next season of Total Bellas for John Cena to try to plan a wedding.
There's so many house rules.
That's going to be must-watch television and will be reviewed on this show, whether Tom allows it or not. I'm doing it. So brace yourselves this summer. By the way, Total Divas started back last night. So get that on the DVR. Hell yeah.
Maybe we'll have a separate podcast.
Do not think I won't do a 20-minute Total Divas review every week, because I will. But yeah, they got engaged, and then there was a nothing match before it. So, yay. We got exactly what we thought we would.
Yep.
So.
And it was fine. I mean, it served its purpose. It was totally what needed to happen for John and to have his ideal proposal. And I guess a lot of things could have gone wrong, but no, everything went fine. And
yeah,
as someone mentioned on Twitter, you've been wearing jorts for how long now, and to finally be able to be able to put a ring in the pocket.
Right. So Tom, if you needed to buy jorts to hold a ring, or even you wanted to buy an engagement ring, where would you go? What would you do?
I mean, there's got to be a way. I'd probably end up going in my car and driving a very far distance to the jort store.
Tom,
I wish there was a better way, though.
Tom, that's so 1989 of you. There's a better way, Tom. There's a better way to buy jewelry and jorts and books and DVDs.
Oh?
Yeah. Amazon.com.
Wait, Amazon has a website now?
Yeah, right. You can buy everything on there. If you're a Prime member, you get 2-day free shipping. It's crazy. But you know what's even better than just
what could be better than that?
Than just going to Amazon.com. If you take a second, if you're sitting here listening to us right now at work, and you're like, oh shit, that reminds me, I need to buy some sandpaper. Don't go to Amazon.com. If you type in the AMA, you've gone too far. Go to cheatersneverpin.com, which is our website that we have. That's
on the internet.
Yep. Go and I want you to click on the button on the front of that website that says buy on Amazon. Then when you click it, you're suddenly transported to a world of 90 million products, and it's amazing. And you're going to do your shopping just like you always do at Amazon.com. But after you check out, after you give them your hard-earned dollar, they're going to kick a few pennies back to this podcast into the Section 328 Podcast Network. It ain't going to cost you a dime. Ain't going to cost me. It's going to make me richer. LOL. But
you'll be a penny-naire.
Hell yeah. But yeah, you're gonna kick back a few dimes to help us produce this show and the website and Cheaters Never Win and Section328.com and CheatersNeverPin.com and all the good stuff we do for you people every day. It helps us pay the bills. So go to CheatersNeverPin.com, click on the Amazon button, do your shopping like normal, and help support Cheaters Never Pin. And we appreciate Amazon.com.
We do. And we like tailgates, too.
Tom, that was the smoothest ad read we've had yet.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
That was nice.
If I shut up, they usually go pretty well.
As long as you don't try to jump to another one in the middle of one.
Yeah, it's for my own safety, really.
Well, when you're on the ultimate throw ride, you got to keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times.
So says Stumpy McGee.
It's our new character debuting next week. That's his first vignette. All right. Next up. So, as you can see, with WrestleMania, that's kind of where Mania peaked. So, here we go.
Just like that Ultimate Thrill ride, there are dips and then there are rises. Although technically the dips are the exciting parts and the rides up are the Anyway, it's a bad analogy.
Yeah, whichever way you want to look at it. We got one good match left. Seth Rollins defeated Triple H in the non-sanctioned match in 25 minutes and 30 seconds. That's right. Surprise, surprise. Triple H had the longest match on the card, ladies and gentlemen.
If it wasn't sanctioned, does it really count as a win or a loss?
No, it doesn't. Even though there was a referee there and there was a 1, 2, 3 and the bell rang.
Well, how'd they know when to stop?
Right? None of this makes sense.
They just kind of threw some money into a hat and said, whichever referee picks it up first, just come out with us.
Lucha rules. So Triple H has an entrance with motorcycle, the entire city of Orlando motorcycle police force escorting him down the ramp while he drives a giant motor trike with Steph on the back.
Which makes me sad because it's a symbol now of Triple H getting older, because you never see young people riding those motor tricycles.
I want one though. It was really badass. And maybe it's just because I'm a giant Triple H mark, but I really want one.
I mean, it was badass for, motorized tricycle, but still, it's still a motorized tricycle.
And see, not only was this a badass entrance, it was great strategy on Triple H's part, because he doesn't have to expend the energy to walk the 80 yards, but he's going to make his opponent, the guy with the bum knee, walk 80 yards to the ring.
It is. That's strategy. That's why he's the cerebral assassin.
Yeah, there you go. Seth has his entrance. He comes out carrying a big torch like he's headed to the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. Then lights the stage, the stage, quote unquote, on fire. You see through the magic of LED, the fire work its way all the way down the ramp, and then pyro goes off on the edges of the arena, of the stadium. It was a cool entrance. While he was dressed like an Emmy. So this
he
match,
likes to synchronize his clothing.
Yeah. So the match was fine. Again, I feel like I keep saying that, but that's how I feel about everything on this card. It was fine. It was a typical Triple H working a body part for 25-minute match. So I don't, what was I going to expect? It was still good.
And really
had some toys involved, and then Steph took a bump through the table. She took her annual bump. So thank you, Steph. She's broken in half, according to her dad.
Why are you cheering that? Why do you like that? You bloodthirsty individuals.
That's my daughter, God damn it. Yeah. But it was a Triple H working a body part for 30 minutes. Cool.
I mean, that's how you book that. I mean, that's.
Yeah,
I mean,
Did the
he
match
goes into the match with a knee injury. You're going to work the knee. I mean, it's.
Could this match have been 15 minutes? Yeah. Would it have been more enjoyable if it was 15 minutes? Yeah. Was it bad at 25 minutes? No. Any other thoughts? That's all I have on that match.
No, I just thought it was a test. Yes, no. I thought there were more questions or something.
No, I don't. I don't have a whole lot to say about that match.
Okay, well, I mean, it wasn't. It was just, it's funny because you talk about the plunder. There's one spot where Seth's looking for, I guess, a chair or a table or something like that, and just going through the WWE 2K17 circle of weaponry on the outside. And as he's pulling the stuff out, conveniently a sledgehammer ends up right next to Triple H's head, and then Triple H, I guess, gets out of it and kind of looks over and sees the sledgehammer there. He's like, oh, cool. How convenient.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got nothing else to say about it.
Then we had the match for the WWE Championship where Randy Orton becomes a 12-time?
I think
11 time?
Yeah, 12 sounds right.
12-time WWE champion defeating Bray Wyatt in the worst match of the night that involved projections of maggots, worms, and crickets which crickets being projected onto that ring. Hilarious. Because
those aren't crickets, those are cockroaches.
No, they were crickets. I watched it back.
It was?
They were crickets.
Those are big-ass crickets.
Which is one hell of a parallel for the way the crowd felt about this match.
I don't know. I stopped watching when the maggots came out.
Yeah, that got an interesting pop in our room. So the entire gimmick of this match, by the way, it was Randy Orton in a big match. He really didn't care and didn't do very much. And then Wyatt's Wyatt. Meh. He's not a great wrestler, but he's fine. But the big gimmick of this match, and happened on 3 separate occasions, Wyatt would get Orton down, go to the turnbuckle to do his lean back into the crab walk thing, and as he leaned back, the stadium went dark, and we saw the different projections in the ring, which have been mercilessly photoshopped all over the internet. Yeah, this match sucked. The gimmick sucked. Orton winning here sucks. Yep. Could have done without any of this. It's 10 minutes and 30 seconds of my life I'm never getting back.
Yeah, it was unfortunate to say the least.
It was just
mainly because I wanted at least some kind of term for Randy, not for Randy, for Bray Wyatt to at least keep. I mean, I had mentioned it before. It'd be nice if people kept their titles for at least a little while, but it just seemed that once Bray got the title, he was just going to be a transitional champion. But I don't see Randy Orton as anything but a transitional champion either, unless there's going to be some kind of shift and the world title ends up going to Raw.
Well, it's not, because on SmackDown, Bray challenged Randy to that House of Horrors match at, I guess, Backlash. So
I don't know what that is.
All I can imagine is it's the Ambrose Asylum with a different name. Right? It's a cage match with crazy shit hanging from the ceiling, right?
Yeah, but what's going to be in those buckets now?
Maggots, worms, and crickets.
So the boogeyman's going to be there.
Great.
To eat all of it.
Keeps getting better. Jesus. Yeah, this was an absolutely nothing thing that didn't need to happen. Unlike the next match, which was awesome. Brock Lesnar defeated Goldberg in 4 minutes and 45 seconds in just absolute carnage and chaos that was amazing. This match also exceeded every expectation. The crowd ate it up. I ate it up. It was amazing.
It was the best they could have done, and it was enjoyable. It really was. I mean, because I sat there trying to figure out how I would have booked that match, and I couldn't figure it out. Because, again, Goldberg was limited enough as it was in his prime. Now he's a 50-year-old guy who really can only do 2 moves, and one of them he doesn't do particularly well. So what do you do when you only have 2 moves and you have to make this match last 5 minutes? And they did. They worked around it, and you got a couple of stalls, and Lesnar leapfrogging the spear, and then just Suplex City. It just, yeah. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Plus the fact that I can't stand Goldberg. So
yeah, well, everybody is wrong about something. So Goldberg getting the offense early, Brock consistently charging back and giving Goldberg that distraught, worried look. It was great. It was 5 minutes of carnage, and it was exactly what this match needed to be. It was both of these guys doing their very limited work. in the best way possible. It was awesome. And I want to see it again. I can't believe I want to see this match again.
Yeah, could you have said that a week ago and go, yeah, I'm going to want to watch that again? No.
Nope. A match I don't want to see again, and it's the fault of no one in the match, is the six-pack challenge for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship, where Naomi won the championship at home and becomes the first African-American to ever win a title at WrestleMania. Fun fact.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Defeats Alexa Bliss, who was the champion, Carmella, Mickie James, Natalya, and Becky Lynch. This match was 5 minutes long because they obviously cut their time, and it turned into go out there, get your shit in, and get out.
Half the interest in the match was when the hell are they going to put it on? Because as the card keeps going, we're going, wait, are they going to even have the match at this point? Wait, now, no, right now. This is when they're going to have the SmackDown Women's match. No.
We got to Orton Wyatt, and we were all convinced it was cut.
Yeah. Because we looked at the clock and said, my God, if they keep going at this rate, we're going to be here till midnight. They won't keep us here till midnight, right?
Spoiler alert, it was 12:20. Yeah, so, I mean, I can't even really, judge this match because of what it was. Like I said, everybody went out there, they got their shit in, including the worst. It's, again, not Natty's fault or anybody's fault, but the double sharpshooter that she never locked in and then just fell over.
I forgot about that till just now.
Yep. So it was a thing that happened. James Ellsworth got a WrestleMania moment in the semi-main event.
And good for him.
Yeah. So it was a thing. I'm glad Naomi's the champion. I'm excited to see where they go with it. She did retain in a rematch against Alexa on SmackDown. So I'm excited to see where they go with it. And another fun thing I noticed on Reddit today, and I didn't notice this Tuesday night on SmackDown, her side plates on the title are actually glow in the dark as well. So when she comes out, her name is glowing on the belt.
That's pretty sweet.
Badass. And she probably had the best entrance of WrestleMania, by the way. Seeing that entire place blacked out in black light and her coming out doing that,
yeah,
so cool. All right, then this is the big discussion point, ladies and gentlemen. Roman Reigns defeated The Undertaker in what was announced and suddenly became a no-holds-barred match in 23 minutes and 5 seconds.
So, are we not going to discuss the Flo Rida concert?
It was a Pitbull concert, and Flo Rida was there, and that happened, and I think I got up to get food and take a piss.
Okay.
I don't think any of us were left in the room while that was going on. So let's talk about the actual match, Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker, first, before we get to the post-match occurrences.
I felt bad.
Yeah.
Before the match even started, you've got Roman on one side and you got Taker on the other side, and then they start to circle, or I don't know if they actually circled or Taker just started pacing or something like that, and you see how badly Taker's moving.
Right.
And the match hasn't started yet. No bumps have been taken, and you're like...
Which, come to find out, he needs total hip replacement, and is having it in the next couple of weeks. That news came out today.
Mick Foley knows a guy.
He wrestled an entire match knowing he needed total hip replacement in the immediate future. So kudos, dead man.
And it's not like he wrestled a match which was a light, airy, weak match or anything like that. That man took bumps.
He went out there to do everything he could. Now, we didn't see any of his, bigger spots. We didn't see him try old school or anything. But you encapsulated it for me by saying it was sad to watch. It was hard to watch. Knowing what the Undertaker is, what the Undertaker has been capable of in his career, and looking back to what happened there. And to me, it all kind of culminates in the spot where they were going to try for the reverse tombstone, and Taker couldn't give Roman enough help to get him up into it.
Yeah. And then they kind of like almost like then they started to try to, I don't know if Taker kind of backed out of that and decided that he was going to try to do some MMA kind of counter, like he was going to do a leg lock or something. But yeah, it just, yeah, there was like 2 or 3 times they tried to do that, and it was just like,
yeah, it was
man.
painful to watch. Reigns did great, as he always does, and he gets the pinfall here, which is the right decision,
right?
You know, no matter your personal thoughts, beliefs on Roman Reigns, that was the correct decision to make, because now you've made him, for better or worse, a legend as well. That moment will always be remembered, and it will be remembered more for what happened immediately after this match. When Reigns leaves, starts to go up the ramp all the end of the show. Pyro goes off. The camera comes back to the ring. Taker's still staring at the lights on his back. The crowd's chanting, "Thank you, Taker." A replay package plays. We come back to the ring. Taker standing there, back with all of his gear, his trench coat and his hat back on. The blue lights are there. He takes about 2 minutes, kind of looks around. He then gets ready to step out of the ring, steps back into the ring, goes back to dead in the center, takes his gloves off one by one, leaves them in the center of the ring, takes his coat off, folds it, dusts it off, puts it on top of the gloves. Then he, exactly the same way he did when he debuted at Survivor Series, the 2-hand removal of the hat, straight off, very slow, very deliberate. And as he's doing that, you see him, this is the moment that got me the most. He's taking it off, and he takes this giant deep breath, and when he finally lowers the hat, he lets the deep breath out, and you can just see the entire look on his face change. Like, I'm done. Like, it was this weird sense of, like, relief and sadness and joy and everything all at once. And he puts the hat on top of the rest of the pile. Gets out of the ring, goes over, kisses his wife, Michelle, goes, about a third of the way up the ramp to the trap door that had raised him up before the match. Throws his, does his look back, throws his fist up in the air, is lowered back down. One final gong hits. The stadium blacks out except for the one light coming out of the ramp. And then, a second or two later, the light dies at the ramp and the show ends. So, ostensibly, and this is professional wrestling, The Undertaker has retired. It's one of those things for the last several years, especially since the streak ended at WrestleMania 30, you knew was coming. And it was only a matter of time. But to finally witness the end of the last great gimmick in professional wrestling, the last old school, always in kayfabe, completely in character professional wrestler, a man who, was able to survive 26 years through changing his gimmick multiple times, and tweaking it ever so slightly to always fit the time and who he was. To see that kind of come to the end is extremely sad. It's it's truly the end of an era. Because I even woke up the next morning and was like, that was the first thing I thought of Monday morning when I woke up was, holy shit, the Undertaker's retired. Because of the gravitas he has as a character. And me being a 29-year-old, he has always been in wrestling for me. So yeah, it's a huge moment, and I realize I just rambled on about it for probably 5 minutes. So I'm going to let you speak now. But yeah, it was a huge moment. I think I've watched it back once since then, and I was like, I think I never need to see this again.
I think it was cool how you said, I'm going to let you talk now. Then you continued to talk.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Have we met before?
Yeah. That's why it wasn't surprising necessarily. I've seen Taker. I am older than you. So
what?
I've seen pre-Taker, when he was Mean Mark Callis in WCW. And I remember seeing him then and going, oh, well, yeah, there's something there. I mean, my God, he's incredibly pale, but outside of that, teaming with Dan Spivey as the Skyscrapers, or the second Skyscrapers, I guess, after Sid left, then Mark Callis comes in to be Dan Spivey's partner. And just, I remember him being introduced at Survivor Series as Kane the Undertaker, which was just kind of weird looking back in hindsight. But, I mean, yeah, like you said, it's the last of the gimmicks. It's one thing to have like, an Olympic champion or, guy from other country who's like, a national or whatever. Like this is the relic of the 80s, early 90s WWF, where every wrestler had a job, where you had the cop and the big boss man, you had like the hockey player and the goon, you had Duke the dumpster drawer. Everybody had like this particular gimmick that they had to live up to, and the Undertaker was just this package that on paper probably shouldn't have worked, because you're like, what's he dead? And to package him with Paul Bearer / Percy Pringle, whatever you want to call him, just worked into this whole entire. I mean, it's almost like Cheers and Frasier, how you had Kane, which was just a spin-off of the Undertaker gimmick, who's now in his late, I think he's 47. And that gimmick's been around forever, where it's like, at least for now, I mean, Kane's probably at his near the end as well, but the thing I think for me, and people were like, oh, there probably wasn't a dry eye in the house. I did not cry. And it's not because I'm, some huge manly man, which I am, but that's besides the point. I look at this as Mark Calloway is 52 years old, something like that. He's walking away on his own to the extent that he can walk, because, like you said, he's got one good hip. But for all intents and purposes, it seems his mind's intact. He's going home to his family, and he's living on his own terms. And there aren't that many wrestlers that can say that. So, I mean, he's going to sit back and enjoy his life. And I don't know what's next for him necessarily if it's just sit on his ranch and just enjoy himself and show up on, a couple of podcasts every once in a while, or if he just wants to completely step away from the business, or if he has some desire to end up in a backstage role or something like that. I don't know. I don't think he knows at this point. But, I mean, all power to him. And like you said, for him to continue to adjust his angle from, again, what was the cheesy 80s gimmick of this Frankenstein monster, I guess, this undead corpse that kept rising up and was unkillable, unbeatable, to eventually work into just this monster, not literal monster, but like this monster wrestler, and then in the Attitude Era turning into this like cult leader, and then going completely in a different direction to become the Biker Taker and loving Limp Bizkit, to then going back to the Dead Man gimmick and just kind of swerving back and forth through all these different style changes, but still being essentially the same wrestler that he was. It's an incredible career to look back on, and to see the longevity that he had, and again with the gimmick that he had, is just kind of amazing to look back at. And there are a few wrestlers that get to have careers like that, and we just need to appreciate it.
Yep. Like you said, I'm thrilled for him that he got to leave on his own terms, and he got to walk away. I shouldn't say on his own terms. If it was up to him, he'd probably still be doing it, but physically, his bump card is full.
Yeah.
But he gets to walk away, and I forgot where I heard this or read this or whatever, but it's very obvious. He walked into that ring on April 2nd as the Undertaker. He did the match as the Undertaker, but when he got out of that ring, he was Mark Calloway. And for the first time, when he dropped that gear and walked out of the ring for the first time, we got to actually see the man rather than the gimmick and the character. And I'm thrilled for him. You talk about him. Is he going to pop up on podcasts and here and there? I don't think we will. I think maybe the only time we see him again is at a Hall of Fame induction. But I feel like he's the type that even in retirement will stay true to that character. I don't think he's the type that's going to write a book. I think he's just he'll do his Hall of Fame and he'll be done. And that makes him an even bigger legend and an even bigger badass. So I for one am grateful that I got to live through the Undertaker. There will never be another like him, ever. And so it's sad that it's over, but I'm glad for him that it's over.
Well, I think that, for lack of a better term, that wall of kayfabe is kind of it. As his career winded down, you started to see it kind of break down a little bit. Like on the network last week, I was watching, I guess it was the Triple H documentary, bio, whatever you want to call it. And, they're interviewing people. And I mean, Taker's one of those people from around that same time frame. So they wanted to get comments and things like that about backstage and all that type of thing. And here's Taker. And it's funny because he's like in a hoodie, so you don't necessarily see him outside of like kind of his face, but he's still talking like Mark Calloway. So,
right.
Just like some Texas dude, and you kind of turn your head and you're like, oh, it's the Undertaker, kind of, maybe, sort of. Yeah. It's just Mark.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll be thrilled if he shows up for as Mark Calloway here and there, and we learn more about him and everything. But I'd be cool. I'd be totally fine if he didn't either. I don't need that from him. none of us should need that from any of them, to be quite honest, because they are people too. As this weekend as WrestleMania weekend always serves a reminder that wrestlers are people too. So yeah, that's our segment on The Undertaker. There's our downer note.
Which could have been so much worse. So
yeah. Let's see. I don't know how to transition out of that. Other big kind of things from Mania. JR was actually back to call the Reigns Undertaker match. He announced that he has signed a 2-year deal with WWE that includes a handful of dates, but he's open to doing whatever they need whenever they need it, no matter what the role is, whether that's backstage or on-air talent. He is still going to honor his contract with Access, with Access for New Japan. So you'll still hear him there. I'm really excited JR's back, and him calling that match was awesome.
Yeah, I like the idea that it is going to be kind of a special occasion type thing. Like maybe they just bring him out for the big four. Maybe they'll have him for events like Hall of Fame and those type of things.
Talking head stuff on the network.
Yeah, maybe there were shows when the network was like, what was it, WWE 24/7 or whatever on like certain cable networks, where he did this like kind of round table type thing where he'd bring in a couple of people and they'd talk about Legends of Wrestling or whatever it was. But I mean, like, stuff like that, stuff on his kind of time frame where he doesn't have to worry about hitting constant travel. Although at the same time, maybe that's something that gets his mind off of real life, right, for lack of a better term.
And he did say this week that this is something that they'd been discussing since before his wife's passing. So this is not the WWE feeling pity,
right,
or anything, which is good. I had seen that comment multiple times online.
And the thing is too, like when I first heard that he would potentially be calling a match at Mania, I was dreading it a little bit, just having heard his Access New Japan stuff, which I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I'd rather kind of prefer my New Japan in Japanese, just because I don't know. I don't need to actually hear commentary for that. I just kind of like the generic sound of the Japanese and the excitement that they get out of it, and listening to the crowd and that type of thing. That's my nerd aspect of that. But you can tell when he was calling that match at Mania, his comfort level so much better there than it has been in the last year or so that I've listened to him call Access matches. I don't know if it's because it's a live event versus him watching and doing commentary for a pre-recorded show or what, but he was 100 times better calling that Taker match than he has been on Access. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. It was hearing the old JR again, and I will take that any day.
Mm-hmm. Finn Balor returned on Raw. Squee.
And again, I want to make this point. Like, could you go back into a time machine in like 1987 and find Vince McMahon and go, "Hey Vince, you're still going to be running WWF shows like 30 years from now," and he's going to be, "Oh, great." It's going to be like, yeah, 2 guys with a total combined weight of under 400 pounds. You're going to be taking on 2 chubby guys in your main event.
What the fuck are you talking about? What?
Get out.
Yeah, where's my steak wrap? All right. Anyway.
And the more popular chubby guy, he'll just be in a t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah, so Finn's back straight to the main event of Raw, tagging with Seth. Whatever, that's a weird storyline thing that who knows, we'll figure it out after the shakeup. Rowan returned on SmackDown, back as part of the Wyatt family. So the Vintner has returned. Hide your Rubik's Cubes. We've got, I think we already kind of covered, Shinsuke debuted on SmackDown along with Ty Dillinger. The Revival has been called up on Raw.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't see me when that happened.
I could feel it. I could feel it all the way here. I knew. You felt the same way then that I felt when Finn came back out.
Reasonably accurate.
Which was all the pure elation of my life. I didn't cry when Undertaker retired, but I wept like a child when Finn came back. I was so happy for him. I just want to play Legos with him, that's all.
I was so happy for the Revival when they got to injure Kofi.
Yeah, their introduction was great to the main roster.
Although I was happier when they took the New Day's ice cream bicycle, knocked it over,
so
and
good.
stomped on it.
Walked straight out and knocked it over. Oh God, yes.
Do you follow them on Twitter?
I don't.
Okay, because one of them mentioned like knocking it over is just like, yeah, it's like ice cream carts are stupid or something. And the other one just like retweets it and adds a comment, makes a great ring step though.
Did I miss any other WWE related news? And then the Superstar shakeup on Monday, the trade deadline or whatever you want to call it. People are going to move shows on Monday, so must watch television.
How we're going to do it, I don't know. I'm assuming trades will take place, or maybe some people will declare free agency. I don't know.
Oh, I know what
someone
we
will
missed.
be lost on waivers.
I know what we missed because I was getting ready to say something else. Kurt Angle is the new general manager of Raw.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge news. And he was comedically hilarious as always, not understanding a fucking word Enzo said, and also thinking Sami Zayn is the biggest geek on the planet, which is also true.
So, interesting thing. I mean, I watched it on Monday, but went back and watched it with my kids on Tuesday on Hulu. And for those of you who don't know, when you watch Raw on Hulu the following day, because that's where it's exclusive to, you can't watch it on a network as per USA's contract.
Yeah, it's a month
for
late.
like a month or whatever it is, but you can watch it on Hulu the following day. But the Hulu version of Raw is cut to an hour and a half. Now, mind you, it's a commercial-free hour and a half, but it's still an hour and a half of what, I don't know, the actual show is, what, a little over 2 hours, I guess, like 2 hours, 20 minutes maybe,
right?
If you take out commercials. So stuff gets edited out of Raw, and they edited both the Angle Sami Zayn and the Angle Enzo confrontation. So
I guess they didn't really matter. But
yeah, I mean, it was slow.
Really?
They make sure to get all the matches and things like that. But I'm looking at it going, couldn't we have taken like all the still shots from Mania out of there and gotten a couple of the actual live segments in?
No, because we gotta pimp the network, Tom.
But I mean, still, I mean, you could see those things on YouTube. I mean, everything's on YouTube. But yeah, so that was just an observation that I made. I was like, oh, you know, because I mean those were entertainment segments. I mean, and again, not to bring my wife into the conversation again, but she thoroughly enjoyed watching Angle and Enzo and Cass do their little spiel together.
That's not how you spell soft. So I'm glad somebody finally caught that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got 3 questions for you before we wrap things up here.
Okay.
What was your favorite match of the weekend?
Favorite match of the weekend, I guess, I mean, if you want to go with short attention span, but I mean, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't the best match necessarily, but I really enjoyed Lesnar Goldberg. I mean, it just condensed it. It was an enjoyable match, and I mean, it did everything that it was supposed to. And again, I love watching Goldberg lose. So
There you go. All right, my favorite match, and I'm gonna go non WWE. So you can find it on Flow Slam from Evolve 80. Keith Lee versus Ricochet. Keith Lee is this giant behemoth of a man. He is probably, I don't know his exact stats. He's got to be 6'3", 6'4", damn near 300 pounds. Can fly like Ricochet. Is just every bit as agile as him. So it's always a spectacle to watch him wrestle. And to be in the ring with a guy like Ricochet, that has made it onto my match of the year tracker.
okay.
Favorite match of the weekend. Tom, what was the worst match of the weekend?
I guess we have to go. I don't. Fine. There were worse matches, I guess, but it was. See, I started to go with the SmackDown Women's match, but it's like that's not fair.
No, it's not.
And
it
so
probably was, but it's not fair to give it that moniker.
Because again, you're giving them 5 minutes and 6 people in a match, and it's just
Yeah.
I mean, it was a WCW Nitro Lucha match to open the show. It was just spots, and then suddenly it's over. Yeah. Probably the worst match for me was Corbin Ambrose. And I don't know if Ambrose has an issue with Mania or what. I mean, but just it was so underwhelming to me and of what it could have been. And again, I thought that their match on SmackDown was that much better. And that's what it should have been on Mania. And I don't know if it kind of knocks you down a little bit, knowing that you're going to be on the pre-show and not on the main card. It's like, well, screw it. Who cares?
Right.
It's got to do something to your mindset when you're going out there. It's like, why should I bust my ass when I'm not even on the opening match of the card? So,
you picked that, so I'm going to pick something different. And
sorry.
No, that's fine. That's a close second, because to me it's Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt.
Okay.
It was overly gimmicky. Orton yet again fails to deliver on a big stage and just kind of phones it in from what we know he's capable of. It sucked. That was the worst thing I saw all weekend.
So you're saying, God, we could potentially have a Dean Ambrose Randy Orton match on a major pay-per-view.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get up and get some food. All right, last question, Tom. Who is the MVP of WrestleMania weekend 2017?
I really wish you had sent me these earlier. Just saying. Sometimes people prep for these.
Then you're going to overthink it. I want your answer now.
That's what we want to do.
I literally thought of this 10 minutes ago and wrote it down in the notebook in front of me. So that's where this came from.
Could have sent me a little message or anything. I don't know.
Nah. Fuck it. We'll do it live, Tom.
I will give it... Now, are we talking Raw and SmackDown as well, or just...
Yeah, I mean, out of the entire thing, who is your MVP? Do you want me to do mine first while you think?
Go for it.
Okay. So I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give you a WWE one, and I'm going to give it an indie one, because to me, it's kind of unfair for this category to judge the indie guys against the WWE guys, given the exposure they have. For WWE, it's the Hardy Boys. Period.
Yeah.
Consistently the biggest pops of the weekend. They have the most memorable and highest profile moment of WrestleMania. they have the biggest, highest profile moment on Raw after Mania. So it's the Hardy Boys. They're back. They had 2 great matches in 2 days. They also killed it at Ring of Honor the night before. It was delightful. So there we go. The indie one is much tougher. I think, in all honesty, there are 3 people you could nominate, and I think it's Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, and then the South Pacific Power Trip, which is TK Cooper and Travis Banks. I think it belongs to Matt Riddle, solely for the fact he pulled one hell of a match out of Dan Severn, who has not aged a day in I don't know how many years. But that's another match everybody needs to go watch because it was fantastic. Dan Severn and Matt Riddle at Joey Janela's Spring Break was top notch. And he is the up and coming. Him, when we get to the end of 2017, we're only going to be talking about Matt Riddle and Keith Lee. And Matt Riddle is a superstar in the works. All right, did I stall enough? Did I give you enough time?
Sure. I mean, the Hardys are pretty much the answer, but and for all the reasons that you said, but I'll throw 2 others out there just for as I guess a second and third place. I will throw AJ Styles out there just because he was given nothing. I mean, he had no real angle going into. I mean, yeah, I know he threw Shane McMahon's head through a car window, but he had nothing before a few weeks ago going into this car. Everybody else kind of had a build going in and feuds and that type of thing, and AJ really didn't necessarily have anything going for him. And then he gets dealt a match with Shane McMahon, who is not a wrestler, who is not even close to being a wrestler, but admittedly, he trains and things like that. But realistically what he is he's a 40, he's a closer to 50 than 40-year-old non-wrestler, and he worked over 20 minutes with him and had a very good match. And no one in their right mind should be able to do that, and AJ Styles did that. And on the opening match of the card, I don't care, pre-show, shmi-show, so I will give him an MVP just because if anybody carried a match and just it was him, and just it was, I don't know, I'm trying to find words to describe it, but I mean, he did. He went out and carried.
He underpromised and over-delivered. He was in a situation that only should have failed and excelled.
And it is a perfect example of what AJ's been since he's been in WWE in the last 14 months or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that he's come in pretty much with no expectations. They brought him into the Rumble not knowing what kind of reaction he'd get. And whatever position he's been put in, he's delivered and gone above and beyond. And I don't know how many years we've got left of him, but I mean, whatever investment WWE put into him, they're getting that tenfold. Mm-hmm. So I give him that. And the other one, I'm going to say, despite the fact that he did a job in NXT and we see why, is Shinsuke. Just because, God, I watched that entrance in SmackDown and I listened to that crowd, and this is going to be so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
Just to see him on the main roster. And I understand he's performed at the Tokyo Dome in front of larger crowds than that, and the man was a celebrity in Japan, and that's all great. And not to say one is better than the other or whatever, but just to finally, after spending a year, and I don't know if they said that to him like, we're going to bring you over and we're going to spend the first year of your contract doing shows where in front of 3,000 fans and, at full sale pretty much. I know that you've been doing sold out shows, but, you're going to be doing smaller shows than your New Japan tour shows. And you're going to do this for a year, despite the fact that you're the biggest star in the company. But now he's getting the opportunity. And you could tell that, like, there was part of him that was just relieved to be out there and in front of everyone and on the main roster and just hearing the crowd sing along. And yeah, I know it's a special crowd, but when you hear that first crowd do it, it's going to carry over, and it's got me really excited for the next months to come.
Yep. All right, Tom, we got a little listener feedback, too, on WrestleMania week.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I totally forgot about this. I don't forget about you, listeners. I love you all. From @zombie_buffet, Jay Swanson on the Twitter machine. I had asked, what do you cheer and what do you complain about from WrestleMania weekend? He says, cheer AJ versus Shane and Seth versus Triple H. Complain, sitting Taker out like that, Reigns was not worthy of being his last opponent. I don't disagree, but I also don't agree. I think it's a great way, especially given the reaction to Reigns on Monday and that amazing 11 minutes of him controlling the crowd like a boss. If you're going to make him the top heel in the company, which they should and have all the ammunition to do now, it was absolutely worthy of him taking that spot if they do this correctly.
And I think, it's gotten to the point where, not to insult anyone's intelligence, but we've gotten to the point where we don't even know why we're booing Roman anymore. We're booing Roman because we're perceiving that he's being put into a spot that he doesn't belong. But realistically, whose spot is he taking at this point? The only other person really that would have been put in that Taker spot, what they were talking about, was Cena. And Cena had his own thing, and it worked out fine for him. And I don't think he's going to sit home at night and be pissed off that he didn't get to retire Cena. And it worked in Roman's case that this has been almost one giant build. And like you said, if this is his heel turn, it's going to work so well because it's like he's finally starting to embrace the fact that, yeah, I know you hate me, and you know what? I finally don't care.
Yep.
And he just needs to get to that point. And
he did it on Monday. It was perfect.
Yeah. And it's going to be hysterical to watch crowds completely change. Yeah. Because heel Reigns is actually going to get over, and the smart marks are going to turn around and go, oh, I kind of like him now. And
the smart marks were losing their mind on Monday because he beat the Undertaker, and they're too smart for their own good and didn't realize you're the biggest marks right now because you're feeding into what they're giving you.
Yep.
That's all it was. And Reigns knew it and that's why he had that goofy looking smirk on his face the whole time. Because he's like, eat out of the palm of my hand right now.
And it was. He just soaked it, and it was done so well. They just beautiful. Opened it up, and he came out, and he just soaked it in. And the 5-word promo, and just leave.
Yep. From @douchebag St. John, personal opinion, outside of the Hardys, extremely predictable. All matches won by precisely who you expected. Underwhelming show. Didn't suck. just not really great. I agree with that, and I think that sometimes it's okay for everything to be predictable, especially at Mania, because that's the type of show it is. It's hard, yeah, you want the unexpected stuff, don't get me wrong, but this is WrestleMania is supposed to be the culmination of the year, so if you hadn't figured it out by then, there should be bigger than check yourself.
And I mean, I think there were swerves. I mean, Bayley was a surprise to me. I really didn't see her leaving with the title.
Mojo, Ambrose retaining. Those are probably all the biggest ones.
Maybe it's because of my mark, but really didn't see the Hardys coming.
Yeah. Well, like you said, outside of the Hardys, it was predictable. So.
Yeah.
And then finally, and this is a question that I'm just going to direct to you from @PeakOfGoodLiving. Why does creative hate Bray?
Because Bray came up with his own gimmick, and Bray's the only one that can figure it out. And I don't think they know what to do with him.
Yep.
And
I 100% agree.
They are sitcom writers that are looking for the little goofy vignettes and things like that. And the thing with somebody like Bray is you need those long, extended vignettes with him. And they kind of tried to do it a little bit with the whole him and Orton and doing the pose as the building burned down and that type of thing. And that was more along the lines of kind of what you need with him. I mean, not goofy projections, but these kind of longer, darker paths that they need to go down. And they don't have the writers for that because they've got a bunch of guys that are looking for a 45-second promo that they can do in the back with Dasha or whoever happens to be holding the microphone. And that's not, you're not going to have Bray Wyatt in the back going, "Hey, Bray, what do you feel about this match going?" and to have him say some wacky catchphrase or something like that. It's not going to happen.
Right.
And that's not how they write. So
I also think in terms of him losing the title, it's not so much that creative hates Bray. It's just that Vince loves him some Randy.
Yeah, and I mean,
because that's who it ultimately comes down to is Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Yeah, and I don't know, Bray holding a title is just kind of weird to begin with. It was neat to see it happen, but I don't know. To have him as a champion just seems. I guess it's the way that the character is too. It's like the guy we saw at the house show was just pretty much this. It was good, but it was cocky heel. It wasn't the kind of puppet master that Bray Wyatt was originally with the family that he had. I like that character more. I don't necessarily the heel is cool, and the way he worked it was just entertaining as all hell, but to see him the controlling mastermind, and I guess the unfortunate thing about that is if you're a mastermind, you don't wrestle.
Right.
Mastermind needs to be the manager. The other people fight for you. And to see him he needs to be in a Kevin Sullivan role where he's the top of the pyramid. So if you're feuding with Bray Wyatt, you should almost never get a chance to fight Bray Wyatt. Mm-hmm. Bray will fight at house shows and things like that. Bray shouldn't be fighting on TV. Yeah. If you want to get to him, you need to get through Eric Rowan. You need to get through whoever else is going to be in the Wyatt family to just get through that, and you need that influence for Bray. So I don't know. And I think that Bray is trying to amend his character here and there to try to work it into what WWE creative wants to write or is able to write or whatever. And due to those changes, it makes it probably even harder to write, because then you don't have any continuality with the storyline, and it's difficult, and it sucks for everybody involved, unfortunately.
Yep.
I think the ideal would be to just kind of have the writers back away and be like, all right, Bray, you write it out. You give us 6 months, give us 3 months worth of angles and things like that, because that's what you have to write for. You have to write to this extended path. You have to kind of trace out how all these things kind of tie together, and anything with him is going to be the long drawn out plan. So maybe kind of back off a little bit and go, okay, what direction do you see for the character? But as we've learned through guys like Cody Rhodes, that they don't do that, and they don't have the interest in that.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tom, we've made it through this supersized edition of Cheaters Never Pin.
Am I going to get this far? I hope so.
I hope so. All right. Tell the people where they can find you on the internet, Thomas.
Well, I mentioned it earlier, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So go on the Twitter machine, as JC conveniently calls it. It's at Mr. Workrate, at MR Workrate. I'm on other social media, but don't bother.
Yep. You can find me on the Twitter machine at JC Bobbitt, JCBOBBITT. As hockey season's winding down, you're going to see a whole lot of Orioles talk. So prepare yourself for the 2-0 top of the AL East Baltimore Orioles coming for that World Series ass.
I have no response to that.
You shouldn't.
Except 26 championships. Anyway.
I don't care. We didn't buy ours. Anyway, on another note, too, if you happen to be one of the Carolina Hurricanes hockey people, this coming Saturday, April 8th, is the final home game. And when we have the first game and the last game of the year, we have giant ass throwdown tailgates. And this week will be no different. We will be in the east lot of the PNC Arena, I think about 2:00. We have a lot of great beer provided by Trophy Brewing here in the Triangle for you to enjoy if you are of legal age. If you also would like to partake in a lot of delicious pizza donated by Donato's Pizza of Raleigh, come on by the east lot of the PNC Arena Saturday afternoon, and come say hey to us.
It could be tomorrow, depending on when you're listening to it.
It could be Saturday, April 8th. But come by, say hello. If you like our hockey stuff, if you like this wrestling stuff, come by and say hey. And also around 6:15-ish, after we've packed everything up, we have the traditional Jaeger pass. And I will be very drunk, and there will probably be a toast to wrestling this year.
It's not a bad idea. What's a bad idea is Jägermeister in general.
It's never a bad idea.
Oh,
but
God.
Yeah, come on out. Come give us a handshake, a hug, a high five, a too sweet, whatever the hell you want. But come say hey, because we appreciate you listening to this show. And please come drink our beer and eat our pizza.
Yeah, not for nothing. You don't have to like hockey.
No, just come hang out with us.
Yeah, I mean, just come to the tailgate, enjoy yourself. Again, there'll be plenty of people around. If you don't do the booze thing, that's fine. There'll be cornhole, I'm sure. There'll be non-alcoholic drinks. There'll be plenty of food. You may want to ask people about the other food and ensure that there's no alcohol in it, because a lot of the food's going to have alcohol too.
There will be pudding with liquor.
Yeah.
So if you just see pudding laying around, ask somebody.
But hey, I mean, for the price of a ticket, and there are going to be relatively cheaper tickets out there. The last I looked on StubHub, I think they're around $20-25 for seat in the 300s, which we sit up there, so they're good.
Yep.
But
come by,
just
enjoy Section 328. It's just kind of a celebration for us here at Cheaters Never Pin 2, because we've made it through basically 3 months of doing this now, and it doesn't seem like that. And I am incredibly grateful to have been given this platform to express my views and the support to do so, and having a great partner like Tom, and great friends like Mike and Derek who support us. So for our entire platform and our entire company, brand, media empire, it's a huge celebration. So come by, say hey.
Yeah, because we probably won't remember it.
Nope, I won't. Guarantee. But yeah, so you can find the pictures probably and other things about the tailgate on our Twitter as well, at Cheaters Never Pin, Cheaters in VR Pin, on our Facebook page at Cheaters Never Pin. You can find us there. And if you like this show, please, even if you don't like the show, 1, fuck you, I don't give a shit. And 2, if you do like it, go rate, review, subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, YouTube, and on our wonderful host, Spreaker. Boom. We made it through the ultimate thrill ride, Tom.
And I am a little nauseous, so that makes sense.
Next year, we'll be letting the good times roll, because they already basically gave away that's the slogan. Live from New Orleans.
They say New Orleans down there.
New Orleans. I got to get used to it. I'm going to be saying it a lot. We're going to be there.
Say that.
Yep. So thanks for listening again. I'm JC.
I'm Tom.
Have a wonderful wrestling week, ladies and gentlemen.